Tonight, we go back to the very beginning. Not of life, but of death. Long before the Grim Reaper, before the ferryman of the River Styx, there was another. A man who died first, not by curse, not by punishment, but by fate. His name was Yama, and they say he was the first mortal to ever die. Welcome back, creeps. I'm your host, Noelle, the weirdo Wisconsinite of Creepy Confidential. I open case files on cryptids, cults, conspiracies, and other worldly creepy. I suggest you grab a cup of your favorite creepy curated quencher and join me on today's journey into the strange and obscure. I call this episode Yama, the man who died first. In the oldest Hindu text, the Rig Veda, written over 3,000 years ago, Yama is not a monster or a demon. He's human. He was born to Vivasvat, the shining sun god, and Saranyu, the goddess of clouds and shadows. And he wasn't born alone. He had a twin sister, Yami. They were the first pair of mortals, the first brother and sister, living in a world newly formed, where death did not exist. No one had ever died. There was no afterlife and no path beyond. But that would change, because Yama, the first man, would also become the first soul to cross that unseen border. The story says that Yama lived as long as the world's first dawns, until one day he simply stopped breathing. No sword, no sickness, just stillness. And in that moment, something impossible happened. A new realm stirred awake, a place meant for those who no longer walked among the living. Yama's soul slipped into shadow, and for the first time, a mortal entered the afterlife. But he did not vanish, he did not fade. Instead, he built something there. He became its ruler, the first king of the dead. In Hindu belief, the realm of Yama lies beyond the setting sun, a twilight world where the souls of the dead gather. It is neither heaven nor hell, but something older. A hall of judgment where each life is weighed and measured. Yama sits on a throne of stone, his skin the color of storm clouds, his eyes like polished copper, and in one hand he holds a noose, the pasha, used to draw the souls of the dead to him. In the other, a mace, symbol of divine authority. Two four-eyed dogs guard his gates, their gaze seeing both the living and the dead. They sniff at the borders of our world, watching those whose time is near. But remember Yami, his twin. When Yama crossed over, she was left behind, the only human alive. She wept for him endlessly, her tears flooding the world. The gods took pity on her and turned her grief into mercy. They brought night into the world so that pain could rest, so that mourning could pause. In some versions, Yama speaks to her across realms, his voice carried on the wind, telling her that death is not an ending, but a path that every being will follow. And so, from his first death came order, the cycle of life and rebirth. The wheel of samsara begins to turn. Over time, Yama changed. He became the Dharma Raja, the Lord of Justice. Still a god of death, yes, but also a divine accountant, keeping the balance of karma. Every soul that crosses into his realm is greeted by 2 dogs, led down the shadowed path, and stands before Yama's throne. He looks into the mirror of your life, every action, every thought, and decides what comes next. Rebirth, reward, or punishment. In this way, Yama isn't evil, he's inevitable. The quiet, patient hand that keeps the universe fair. But in older whispers, the kind that crawl through the cracks of folklore, Yama is still remembered as the first man who died alone. The one who stared into the void when no path existed and carved the road himself. Every culture has a figure like Yama. In Greece, it was Thanatos. In Japan, Enma Dao, directly inspired by Yama himself. In Tibet, Shiji, the Lord of Death. Each a reflection, a cultural echo of that first traveler between worlds. But what's most haunting is that Yama was never meant to be a god. He was human, the first mortal to step into the dark, and instead of vanishing, he stayed behind to guide the rest of us. Sometimes when people die suddenly, when they say they saw the light or a figure at the end of the tunnel, some describe a man waiting there, calm, silent, and watching. In Vedic hymns, they call him the gatherer of men. Not cruel, not kind, just eternal. Yama, the first man to die and the last one you'll ever meet. Life begins with breath. Death begins with memory. And between the two walks Yama. Thanks for joining me for today's special small little episode, Yama, the man who died first. Please take a moment to leave a review and give us a follow. We don't want you to miss out on any new episodes. And for more creepy content, you can visit creepyconfidential.com. And as always, stay creepy, my friends, and I'll see you next time right here on Creepy Confidential.